Hi, my name is Stewart, co-president here at Guidebook. I joined the business back in 2015 and helped build the UK business from the ground up. I've always been passionate about events. My first job out of college, it was a sales role. I attended lots of different trade shows to find new business and build new relationships. And I realized then how special in-person events are. And so I'm very, very proud today to lead the business across the globe and to support our growth within the events industry, the education industry, supporting associations, and really getting the power of mobile into people's hands.
Hi, I'm Nathan. I'm the event and community manager here at Guidebook. I've been working in the event industry for over 10 years now, building events of all sizes all across the globe. I also was a Guidebook customer, launched mobile apps across hundreds of events over multiple years. And more recently, I've been leveraging the power of community for the event industry, but also within tech. I saw a post on LinkedIn the other week from Julius Solaris, and it really resonated with me. Not only thinking about my own experiences, but some of our customers around, are events getting too complex? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I saw that post as well. He had loads of train tracks crossing over each other, right? And then basically said, like, this is what organizers are creating. And then there was just a single train track. It was like, this is what attendees want. And I thought it was a really good LinkedIn post, credit to Julius, because it really landed with me, because recently I went to a single track conference. It was in Cambridge. It was the Business of Software. It's a fantastic event. There's one in Cambridge and there's one in North Carolina, in Raleigh, where Guidebook has an office. It's a single track. It's 2 days. I stayed in Cambridge student halls with a lot of other attendees, and it was one of the most simple events I've ever attended, and hands down the best event I've ever been to. I talk a lot about you attend events to meet new people and learn new things, and I left that event feeling like I'd met so many inspirational people. I built my professional network out. I met people who invited me to dinners series for tech leaders and founders. I met people who have just gone through acquisition, people who are, transitioning into other roles, people who give me advice on product, and just learned a ton of things and came out with loads of ideas. And it really was the most simple event. But you've been on the other side, right? You've been an organizer that's probably created some of those events with all those crossing train tracks. So how does that happen? And I suppose, how do people stop that from happening?
Yeah, that's a tough question and a good question. When I hear you talking about that event that you went to and its simplicity, I think we all strive for that. We want to create simple experiences that have high value. We don't want people having to overthink or really plan out their experience at an event. I've definitely been guilty of overcomplicating events for various reasons, revenue. So if you're working with your sponsorship team and you get a whiff of an opportunity where you create a sort of different experience or package or something that's going to have to divert attention from our main session or anything like that, you're incentivized to take it, right? I can see how that's happening more today with the margins getting tighter, is that you're going to kind of continually think of creative ways to generate revenue. But what that is doing on the impact of the attendee experience is making it harder to engage with the event to the best of its ability. Mm-hmm. We had it, trying to create different types of networking opportunities and really just overcomplicating something you talk about, which is very simple. The events that I've run that I've enjoyed the most have been the ones where I've put together one track. The agenda was tight. The content was amazing. We managed to recruit 20 great speakers because you're only honing in on one topic of conversation. If you generate that, then you're going to get a much higher engaged audience because it's resonating with a particular group of people. And I actually think you can probably generate more sponsorship because, again, if you talk about how targeted that is to the right sponsors, it becomes an easier sell. So I get that it's a challenge to do that because you're adding on and you're creating things. And I think for events generally, we're sometimes trying to think how older generations, younger generations, millennials all want these different things, and we have to throw it all into the mix, and that gets quite complicated quite fast. And I think that becomes a problem.
Yeah, it sort of feels like in some ways, and we've talked about this a lot, the sort of COVID created a bit of a reset. A lot of events that just weren't that great, didn't have a lot of value, were left behind after COVID, right? They didn't come back, but great events are thriving. And I do think that for certain events, and certain organizers who are maybe trying to manage an incredibly complex event, it could be time for them to just take one step back to take two steps forward. Be bold enough to simplify your event, be bold enough to push back on your sponsorship team and push back on sponsors if you don't think it's adding value to the event, and be confident that if we get it right this time, maybe we will make a little bit less money. And that's hard, right? Selling less growth, less revenue to leadership is incredibly hard. But I think if there is a 2, 3, 4, 5-year plan here where it's like, we're going to just step back, we're really going to focus on how do we connect the right people with each other and how do we build something that's truly educational, we are going to get a higher return rate from attendees. We're going to get higher sponsorship engagement. If the right people are going and want to go, the right sponsors are going to want to be in front of them. And hopefully as an organizer, you've got a stronger hand, right? You're not desperately trying to get their dollars to boost your, to boost your revenue. The sponsors are actually desperately trying to get in front of your audience, and, the table's turned and the kind of that who's got the stronger hand can flip.
Definitely. And I spoke about it before, but specificity is important here. And Julius mentioned, people are consuming about 10% of what your event is, right? It's very overwhelming going to an event. There's a lot happening.
Mm-hmm.
As much as you want to remember every session that you went to, that's hard work. You take your notes, you'll go away, you'll digest it, you might watch that content back on demand. So ensuring that specificity will allow people to, if they're only going to take away 10%, it's the right 10%. And I think as an event organizer, I have been guilty of making events complicated. But to your point about almost taking a step back to take 5 forward, that's so true. Because the events where we kept every year trying to add another layer, they max out, right? They have a lifespan, and your audience becomes disengaged because you've essentially lost your way in what you were creating in the first place. And then you see these one-track, smaller events accelerating because they've kept that specificity and they stay true to the purpose of the event. And over the long way, you can make more money. And that is the harder but better way to go.